Hi guys, this is Breaker, and I'm back with another replay that I took from the CPL Shenyang 2013 replay pack. This one, I guess I took right after Marine King Prime to kind of illustrate, I don't know, what kind of order this could possibly go in, but anyway. In the upper right-hand corner, spawning as our Teal Terran. You guys saw he was Grandmasters at the loading screen. Will he have better luck against his new Terran opponent this time around? His name is Infi. VGInfi. And in the lower left-hand corner, spawning is our Red Terran, already sending out a very early SCV. His name is Wei. Just Wei. W-A-Y. Now, I'm not entirely sure how he got his name. I'm not even sure of his nationality. I'm not sure if this guy is a Chinese player or not, but as you guys saw on the Chinese server, he was ranked at Platinum, so I'm leaning just a teeny bit towards saying that he's not a Chinese player, because if he was, well, maybe he'd have maybe, just maybe, he would have a teeny bit more secure position on the ladder, who knows. And now after game number 2 between, what was it, Marine King Prime and Infi, I'm sure Infi's going to feel pretty abused after this game, but there is just a teeny bit of good news for him, and that is he is not facing a double proxy rack, so this maybe isn't an all-in, but rather an attack aimed at killing some SCVs. And just giving Wei a bit of an economic advantage. But it is, of course, basically standard knowledge that, well, my understanding for this tournament is that Root Todd basically had some complaints about CPL Shenyang 2013 because he could hear the Chinese casters, but he couldn't understand what they were saying. And Jim ended up, well, I won't give away the results, but he wasn't quite too much of a fan of his own set between himself and Jim. But the way this game is being played overall, it's not quite indicative of, I guess you could say, players being able to hear the casters and what they're saying and so on and so forth. I've seen IGXY send out an inaccurate scout versus Jim, and I've seen Jim send out an inaccurate scout versus XY. So personally, like, my own thoughts are that if these games were played live and casted live in a position where the Chinese casters were audible and intelligible to the players' ears, then I'm thinking we would see something a bit more straightforward, something a bit more along the lines of, what is it? Oh, well, I see you, you see me, that kind of thing. But, ooh, that Marauder gets shut down. It will be able to outrange the bunker that is here, though, I think, if I'm not mistaken. They just need high ground vision in order to hit that bunker. And, whoa, Proxy Factory. This is something, this is an entirely different ballpark we're playing in right now, because Wei has nothing at home. And if we see Infi going for a 1-1-1, which this seems to have the tempo of right now, then we could see him lose a potential, like, ton of probes. But it's interesting to note that we actually have a reactor, or not a reactor, but a tech lab finishing up on that barracks before it picks up, and now we have a starport going down right next to it. Presently, there's actually nothing at home for Wei to defend against the Banshee. There's no anti-air, there's no Marines, there's nothing. So once that Banshee gets there, I got the feeling that it's GG. Alternatively, we could see VGInfi use that Banshee defensively, try and take down these Marauders and get rid of any real threat, but he's, oh no, he's really making Hellions. His opponent has concussed, so has no concussive shells. That's actually not the way to play this. But Reaper did just pop in and pop out. It didn't go, it did get a significant amount of scouting information. It saw everything that it needed to, basically. Okay, so now we basically have Wei in a position where he knows what he's up against, but we have Infi in a position that he's unaware of what he's up against right outside of his natural. But Infi, he scouts everything right here. He sees it all. He's like, oh snap, I gotta start building stuff ASAP. But his Banshee's gonna have Cloak once it gets out. If he can get in there and just massacre that entire SCV line, I don't know. We could see things pushed into a base race scenario, but missile turret going down already. As of course Wei did already scout that Banshee. But there's very limited anti-air here. There's only 2 Marines, there's gonna be 1 Viking out near future. There's going to be a third Marine as well, and a missile turret parked outside the natural. So this is a bit of a, I wouldn't say a hasty contain, but it's definite hard contain that we don't see all that often versus Terran players, or in the context of TVT at least. So this game, I'm giving the Breaker SC2 stamp of made in China. I think both of these players are actually from China. It's just that Wei, the reason why he's, what's the word I'm looking for? The reason why he is only a Platinum League player on this server is simply given the fact that he is, damn, what's the word I'm looking for? He probably just practices much more hardcore on the Korean ladder. I know Jim, come on, Jim, Grandmaster's rank 1, Chinese kid. He does that. And right now it looks like we have our red Terran trying to save up a bunch of scans. Not sure why. It might actually just be a total macro mistake, and this supply depot, when it falls, I think could result in a supply block, but I think to this point, Wei has simply not responded by killing that Banshee or scanning that Banshee and then trying to kill it by the merit that he thought it would be shut down. But, you know, we got more in the way of... Okay, he's using the scans to basically reveal the Banshee. He's going to have 2 Vikings here, but he's not going to have much else. Ooh, Marines, though, I think the Marines are going to deal with the Marauders here more than adequately, but no, if he's got to have better control than that. Okay, so now it looks like we're going to have Infi send his second Banshee out to go ahead and just peck away at these structures here. And there's still a Viking at home for Wei, to the best of my knowledge. And now we have Wei trying to push into his opponent's main, but the siege tank is preventing that. Beautiful defense by Infi thus far. He's putting his opponent behind. Cloaked Banshee is now out of cloaking energy, and it gets shut down, unfortunately. So this is going to come down to tank count, micro, things like that. But the biggest problem for both of our players is that neither one of them has stim. But even having stim, I don't know if that'll do them any good. Banshee trying to supply block Wei, and I think in that regards he will have success with killing off this one supply depot. Then maybe he can swing around and kill the other one, but I don't think he's going to have time. I don't think he's going to have enough time to do that. Still tons of energy being saved on this one orbital command. I'm wondering just what exactly Wei's plan with that is. Banshee pulls out, runs out of energy. Tank nearly got sniped by that one Banshee, but we're gonna continue to see more tank production. And beyond that, Infi was able to scout that his opponent has a barracks here. And that got canceled after the SCV got shut down because there's nothing else that can build it right now. Alright, so here we go. 3 Vikings coming into the mix. And I want to say that these 2 tanks are super exposed. This one's just right outside of the missile turret's range. And if we see, you know, just the best micro in the world coming from Infi, he should be able to break this contain. Look, his opponent's only got 1 tank. He's got so many himself. 3 Vikings versus 2, that's a no-brainer. The 2 will lose. And the Banshee, amazingly to this point, is still alive. I want to say that if we simply see a medevac drop go down on that tank, we'll be good to go. But no, actually, we could see the Viking drop. You know, those guys land on top of the tanks, boom. But, oh wait. Infi has no tanks left. Or does he? He has no tanks. And beautiful defense there. He took down the Banshee using those 2 Widow Mines. Orbital Command's trying to find a place to land. I actually think this is a bit of overeagerness from Infi. And now both players are switching completely to Banshee production, trying to take down each other's tanks and so on and so forth. I think, you know, as long as we just see one more volley of Banshee shots coming from that one Banshee, it should be able to deal with those, well, at least this one tank. I mean, I think that's all it's going to take to deal with that, really. And now all those tanks are forced to crowd underneath the missile turret. I don't know if that's going to work out or not. And as long as we just see one click and then out, boom, boom, boom. Come on, come on. What are you doing? What are you doing? Micro your Vikings? Oh, man. Almost both of the Banshees fell there. But, you know, a little bit of poor control from Infi, but still he's ahead nonetheless, and I think he realizes that. He has his own expo, but Wei to this point has none. Now we just have Infi in a position where he can still just move forward, and he's going to be using his Vikings to do that. In fact, the Widowmine proxy burrowing right next to those tanks, and now it's 36 supply to 72 overall. Infi now at double his opponent. All he has to do right here is actually land one Viking on top of that tank, and he can kill it. But now there's 2 Marines coming to the mix as well. I don't know if a Viking can handle 2, but I would lean towards saying yes, perhaps. This is that Vikings versus ground units is something that you don't see all that often. Typically, they're meant to act as anti-air, as a hard counter, and that works rather effectively in that regard. Now, Wei is actually being pushed back quite effectively at that, so I'm a little curious what will his follow-up be. I mean, he's got nothing at home. Both players' mains are just about going dry. We are reaching about the 18-minute mark now, and something else I forgot to mention. Infi went with another expo behind that. He's like, okay, well, I got control over my opponent in that regards, and it looks like we got a ton of scans going down, trying to reveal that Banshee, and all the Marines just died. There it is, the GG from Wei, and game number 1 goes to Infi. Excuse me. Excellent control, as you guys saw. And if you guys liked what you saw here today, just go ahead and click on that subscribe button. This is Breaker. I'll be back with game number 2 in just a minute. Please stand by.